Of allegiance, please. Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. This is a notification of a live broadcast by Chelmsford Telemedia. They are live broadcasting and streaming, and this meeting is being recorded for future viewing by the general public. With that, we'll start with public service announcements. Pat?
Okay, first of all, the town of Chelmsford is going to convene our 2026 spring town meeting on Monday, April 27, 2026. Any articles to be included on the warrant must be submitted to the office of the town manager at 50 Burica Road prior to 4 p.m. on Monday, January 5th, 2026. Petition articles must carry the signature of at least 10 voters. If you need any more information, you can call or email the town manager's office. For any homebound residents in Chelmsford, if you haven't received the flu vaccine yet and you would like somebody from the Board of Health to come and administer one, you can get in touch with the Board of Health, Darcy Beal, at 978-250-5241. And Chelmsford has launched a memorial tree program. Participants can sponsor a tree to honor somebody in a meaningful way. It'll be planted in a public space to create a lasting living tribute that can be enjoyed for years to come. For more information and information about how to submit an application for this, you can go to the town website. And we now have three announcements that will be presented by Deputy Town Clerk Maria Companion.
Good evening.
Good evening, select board members, and thank you for having me. For those watching at home who may not know me, as Pat introduced me, my name's Maria. I'm the deputy clerk from the clerk's office. We have a few announcements out of our office, one being the annual town census is going to be mailed in just a few weeks to every household, hopefully no later than the first week in January. And we just like to remind everyone that participating in the town census keeps our voting list up to date. Returning your town census keeps you active on the voting list, and it eliminates the need to step out of line at the polls where you have to sign an affirmation that you still live at that address. So it makes your voting experience much quicker if you keep your status up to date, and you can do that by simply just returning your town census. Even if you're not a registered voter, responding to the census ensures that our office can provide you with a proof of residency if you ever need one. And of course, an accurate count of residents in Chelmsford assists in providing better municipal services. And there will also be, as it was the last couple of years, there will be an online response link on your census so that you can respond online if you have no changes to your census form. And next is dog licensing. Every 2025 dog license expires on December 31st. And licensing for 2026 has already begun because we get the tags so early. So you have the rest of December and January and February to license until late fees start to go into effect on March 1st. And up-to-date rabies vaccination is required, so just bring it with you just in case, or mail it in if you're mailing it in, or you can upload it if you choose to renew online. New dogs, however, must be registered by mail with a check, or you can come in and see us in person and bring your dog. And also a reminder, the fees have gone up this year, so spayed or neutered dogs are $20 and unaltered is $25. And those late fees that go into effect on March 1st is $5 per month starting on March 1st through June 1st, and those get added on to the initial tag fees, in addition to citations that will go into effect starting on June 15th for any dogs that remain unlicensed at that time. And again, that's on top of the initial tag and late fees. And more information and that link to respond online, or renew online rather, if your dog has been licensed with us in the past, can be found on the town website under the town clerk page and then the dog licensing page. And next, if you are interested in running for town office in 2026, we have quite a few seats open. So on January 5th, nomination papers become available. So if you're interested, come into the town clerk's office to see us and we'll walk you through the process. And we have seats open for the following seats. So for townwide offices, we have 1 select board seat, 2 school committee members, 2 planning board seats, 1 board of health seat, 3 trustees for the public library, 1 cemetery commission member, 1 housing authority member, and 1 moderator position for our town meeting. And then, of course, we have our town meeting, which we have 5 open seats for 3-year terms available in all precincts. And then we also have an unexpired 1-year term in precincts 5 and 6, and additional seats may become available as vacancies may arise, and those would be people resigning. So if you're not sure if you want to commit to a 3-year term, you can try out an unexpired seat if there's one available in your precinct. So starting January 5th, come see us in the town clerk's office. We'll walk you through the process, and the deadline to obtain nomination papers is February 12th, 5 p.m., and papers are due back to us by February 17th, 5 p.m. And we also keep a list that we call the poll papers list on the town website. And as potential candidates poll papers, that list will be updated. And it is currently available now on the town's website and will be updated when people start pulling papers. Right now, our incumbent letters are coming back for all our town meeting reps whose seats are open. And so if they intend to run again, they return their letters and they automatically get their name put on the ballot. And lastly, I just wanted to mention the upcoming elections in 2026. So for our voters, all year long, we like to remind you to check your voter status, and you can do that at voteinma.com. That's the state's website, and it has all kinds of information, including a little module where you can check your voter status at any time throughout the year to make sure you're active. And again, that's to make your voting experience less frustrating so that you can quickly get in and out. And the voter registration deadline for all elections is always 10 days before an election. So in 2026, we have 3 scheduled elections. Our local, which is always the first Tuesday in April. So in 2026, that's April 7th. And then we have our state primary on September 1st and the general on November 3rd. Vote by mail will be available for all elections, in addition to in-person early voting, which is required for all state elections. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Nope, all sounds good and interesting and ready to go.
Exciting!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Okay, next we have general public input. We have Chris Ferreira here. Chris, if you don't mind just stating your name and your address, if you would.
Chris Ferreira, 81 Riverneck Road, Chelmsford. Good evening, Select Board, Town Manager. I'm speaking here today in reference to the bridge on Gorham Street that's being reconstructed. I've spoken at the State House. There's a bill in place to name that bridge after the Ferreira brothers, which would be 2 of my great uncles and my grandfather. My grandfather owned a garage on Gorham Street exactly where the 495 bridge was. Because of the bridge being built originally and 495 being put in, they took the land under, I forget what they call it.
Eminent domain.
Eminent domain, there you go. And he had to move over to Riverneck Road and East. And that caused a little hardship for him. And he also worked for the town of Chelmsford as a volunteer fireman. And he also worked for the town for years as a weights and seals and measures man that went around for the town doing all the weights and seals and measures, the gas stations and stuff. Not only that, he owned a business in town that worked without the community and worked for the municipalities, the fire and the police department for years. My great uncle John C. fought in Normandy in World War II. John C. came home with a Purple Heart, and he was wounded in Normandy. And I will tell you one thing about that. I never really knew much about it growing up. He talked about it a lot, my Uncle Manuel. And after I saw a documentary on TV, I was blown away at what at that time were kids what they did for this country and on that beach and stuff like that. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. My Uncle John also worked for the highway department in the town of Chelmsford for years and gave back to his community tremendously. There was my other Uncle Manuel, my great Uncle Manuel, who also fought in the war in Normandy. He came back after the war. I think he became a sergeant in the war in Normandy. And when he came back, he went to school in Massachusetts Radio and TV School. And then he worked as an electronic test technician for the U.S. Army at Fort Devens until he retired. There was another brother that a lot of people, if they drove through East Chelmsford over the years, would have noticed him, my Uncle Alfred. He got the measles when he was young. He was one of my grandfather's brothers. And it affected him a lot mentally and stuff. But he would go through the neighborhood in East Chelmsford and take their trash out. All the neighbors, he would take their trash out and he would wave to all the neighbors going by. He had an orange cap on. So he was another person in East Chelmsford. But I did send a letter out to all the Board of Selectmen in the town in reference to the whole story about my family's history. We spoke at the State House. Like I said, there is a bill in there to name this bridge after the Ferrer brothers. And if I'm looking for the board, if they could support that. All the delegation from this area, Rodney Elliott, Vanna Howard, James Acero started the bill. It's also co-sponsored by Simon Cataldo, and a couple of others from Lowell have signed on to the bill. So if the town could support that bill, I'd appreciate that. And if anybody had any questions about it, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Pat, any questions?
I was just wondering if we could put that on our agenda, because we can't vote on it tonight, obviously, since it's
Right.
not on our agenda,
Right.
maybe under reports or something, and for sure vote on it and send it to our delegation.
Yeah, and we can write a letter and so on. So, yeah, why don't we put that on the next meeting agenda? So, any other comments or questions for
I think it's a
Christopher?
well-deserved honor under the circumstances, just my opinion.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Chris,
Appreciate
thank you.
your time.
We'll see you at the next meeting.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is, staying on the general public input. Is there anybody on Zoom? We're good. Okay. So the next item will be committee vacancies. Pat?
Okay, as of today, we have the following vacancies on committees. The Age-Friendly Implementation Committee has 1 vacancy. The Agricultural Commission also has 1 vacancy. Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has 1 vacancy. Clean Energy and Sustainability has one seat available. Commission on Disabilities has a total of 5 vacancies currently. The Community Preservation Fund Committee has 1 vacancy. Council on Aging Board has 3 current vacancies. The Historic District Commission has 1 vacancy for an alternate member. The Holiday Decorating Committee has one vacancy. The Parade Committee welcomes all applicants. And Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee has 1 vacancy for a business representative. If you're interested in serving on any of these committees, you can fill out an application online or through the town manager's office.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, the next item is licenses, and the first item, well, actually, the only item under licenses is a transfer of common victual license from Doty's Diner, Inc., DBA Doty's Diner, to Kitten Sam Corp., DBA Doty's Diner, 7 Summer Street, number 25.
And she's joining us by Zoom this evening.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Lee Duchtiket. My address is 159 Walker Street, Lower Master 1854.
Okay. And you're applying to transfer the common victual license from Doty's Diner, DBA Doty's Diner, to Kitten Sam. You want to tell
Yes.
us a little bit about your operation and if anything's changing or staying the same, or?
So we're planning on keeping everything the same. Me and my husband, we already have a diner in Lowell right now, and it's running. But we're gonna have my cousins and everybody, my family's gonna come in and help with the restaurant in Lowell. So me and my husband could go and stay at Doty's Diner. We're just looking to have expand another location. Everything's gonna stay the same. The food, the hours, everything.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
It just begs the question, what's the diner she runs in Lowell? Just-
Yeah, what diner is it in
We'll give you
Lowell?
some
Yes.
publicity.
So it's called Stack Cafe.
Okay.
It's 724 Chelmsford Street,
Oh, okay.
Lowell, Mass.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you.
Across the street from Lowell.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Questions, comments?
I see all the licensing, it seems to be up to,
Everything seems to be in order.
yep.
Okay. If there's no further questions or discussions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the transfer of the
Okay.
license.
I'll make a motion to transfer the common victual license from Doty's Diner, DBA Doty's Diner, to Kit and Sam Corporation, again, DBA Doty's Diner at 7 Summer Street, Unit 25.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations. Well,
Thank you.
Best of luck.
best of luck to you.
Thank you. Have a
Happy
good night.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, and the next item we have is, we do have one annual license
We
renewal.
actually have two.
Two? Why do I only see, oh, okay, I'm reading this wrong. Okay, so we have license renewal information for 2026. We have Nav Cafe Inc., DBA Tropical Smoothie Cafe at 55 Drum Hill Road for a common victular license. And then we have Shri Therumal Chakra Foods, DBA Masala Cafe, Chettinad, 313 Littleton Road, Unit 12. That's a restaurant carrying alcohol and common victual license. Do we have anybody here for that?
No, we don't bring them in for.
We don't, because this is just an
These
annual.
weren't
Okay.
ready the last time.
So that's the only carry-in we have in town, correct?
Yep, yes.
Okay.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve these two licenses.
Make a motion that we approve a common victual, renew a common victual license for Tropical Smoothie Cafe and a restaurant carry-in alcohol license and a common victualler for Masala Cafe on 313 Littleton Road.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. Next agenda item is reports and presentations, and this evening we have a report, an audit report, from Matthew Hunt, who's a CPA, on the Town of Chelmsford fiscal year 2025 financial audit exit conference. And
He's joining us on Zoom.
we will wait for Matthew
there.
Hunt to join us.
there.
And,
I'm here.
oh, there he is. Welcome, Matthew. I'll turn it over to you, and we're looking forward to a great report here.
Okay, wonderful. There you go. I was just going to say, do you have a presentation here? Again, Matthew Hunt with Clifton Larson Allen, the Town of Chelmsford's audit firm. Happy to be here tonight to present a summary of the results of the audit. If we want to move to the next slide. And so our agenda here tonight is just to go over sort of an executive summary, sort of a 30,000-foot view of the audit, go over some of the highlights in the financial statements, and also discuss the single audit. There is no single audit report, but I'll explain that when we get to that portion of the presentation. So from an executive summary perspective, obviously when it comes to the audit of the financial statements, our part is to, based on our audit procedures, to opine on the town's financial statements. Happy to report that the town's financial statements contain an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion that's available in a financial statement audit. We also, as part of our audit, evaluate your internal controls. Happy to also report that there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to internal controls of financial reporting. We also did not identify any material noncompliance with laws, regulations, contracts, or grants related to financial reporting. There were also no transactions lacked authoritative guidance. All transactions had authoritative guidance. All your footnote disclosures are neutral and clear. We did not identify any significant unusual transactions for the town in FY25. And during the course of our audit, we did not have any disagreements with management. So getting into some of the financial highlights, your financial statements have it's sort of a multiple set of financial statements. The first set of financial statements are what are called the government-wide financial statements. That's your full accrual financial statements. So it's going to contain all your long-term assets, all of your long-term liabilities. The real highlight of this particular set of financial statements, which is on page 10 for frame of reference, are your long-term liabilities that really stand out. There's 3 of them that really stand out in terms of the volume of the dollar balances. You have liabilities of $262 million, pension liability $116 million, your OPEB, other post-employment benefits liability, which Parker is waiving, he'll be talking about later. That's $80 million, long-term debt of about $57 million. Overall, you do have a town does have a positive net position at the end of FY25 of $34 million. Always do like to point out, in case anybody does see it and is maybe finds it unusual, there is an unrestricted deficit in net position of $155 million. However, that is strictly the result of your pension and OPEB liabilities, and that is a very common thing for municipalities in Massachusetts. Most municipalities do have that unrestricted net position deficit because of those unfunded pension and OPEB liabilities. So we'll move to the next slide. Your next set of financial statements are what are referred to as your governmental funds financial statements. The real highlight of this particular set of financial statements is your general fund. So I want to sort of highlight some key numbers related to your general fund. General fund at the end of FY25 was approximately $27.6 million. You'll see in your balance sheet on page 13 that there's various categories within fund balance related to various constraints that might be part of fund balance. They're called restricted, assigned, and committed. That's about $1.6 million. The most of that is budget carry forwards. It's amounts that you voted as part of your budget. They haven't been spent yet, but they've been obligated in some fashion and moving forward into the next year. So that leaves you with an unassigned fund balance of about $26 million. For frame of reference, that includes, part of that $26 million includes $20 million of stabilization funds. And we do like to sort of look at that unassigned number. It's a number that your bond rating agencies look at as well. We like to take that number and divide it into your total expenses to give you a ratio. I think it's a good measure of that unassigned fund balance. That ratio is about 15% at the end of the year, pretty consistent with the previous year's ratio of 15.1, and that is a very healthy ratio. In terms of your general fund performance during the year, you did experience an increase in your general fund of about $743,000. A particular financial statement that can sort of help you understand how the general fund performed during the year is your budget to actual financial statement on pages 54 and 55. You'll see on that particular financial statement that although the town did use about $6.5 million in reserves to help fund the budget, you did have a positive revenue variance, meaning your revenues came in higher than budget by about $500,000. Your expenses came in lower than budget by about $3.3 million. So because of those 2 factors, you were able to experience an increase in your general fund. You'll also see in the same set of financial statements where you see your general fund, there's also various columns for other funds within the town that are considered quote unquote major funds, including your Community Preservation Act fund, sewer betterments fund, and COVID-19 grants, which essentially at this point is your opera fund. There's really nothing significant or unusual to report in those funds. Then the last set of financial statements, then we'll give you some highlights in your footnotes to the financials. Last set of financial statements are called proprietary fund financial statements. So this is where your enterprise funds are. And so looking at your sewer enterprise fund, positive net position of $3.9 million, including a positive change in net position during the year of $1.3 million. Your other enterprise fund that is shown separately in its own column is the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, also a positive net position of $2.5 million, and a positive change in net position during the current year, during FY25, of about $350,000. Your other enterprise funds, which are your golf course, cable, and rink funds, those are all combined into one column. And again, nothing significant or unusual to report with those funds. So last set of financial highlights that we want to talk about, your footnotes to the financial statements contain a lot of valuable information. Just a couple of footnote highlights. Notes 8 and 9 relate to your long-term debt. Your total long-term debt at the end of the year was about $57 million. During the year, you issued about $13 million of bonds and premiums and redeemed about $10 million worth of debt. So overall, a net increase in debt of about $3 million. Do you think it's good to point out how much of your debt service is a percentage of your total expenses? That percentage is 6.5%. That's a very healthy percentage. When you start getting into the range of maybe 10% or more, you might want to sort of reevaluate the level of debt you have, but a 6.5% is certainly very reasonable. OPEB, again, Parker will talk more about that after me. Note 10 is where you get some information related to your retiree health insurance and other post-retirement benefits. Net OPEB liability at June 30, 2025 was about $81 million. It was about $75 million in the prior year, an increase of $6 million. The main reason for that is, as part of what Parker and his firm does, they have to apply a discount rate in order to get the present value of the liability, and that discount rate decreased during the year. So when you see a decrease in your discount rate, there's inevitably an increase in your liability. The town has done an excellent job of building up assets related to its OPEB, about $30 million at the end of the year. And again, you'll see some information about the discount rate, but Parker will get into that as well. Lastly, in terms of footnotes, note 11 relates to your pension liability. So this is the town's portion of the Middlesex County retirement liability. At June 30, 2025, that liability is approximately $117 million, just a slight decrease from the previous year. The discount rate used to measure that particular liability is 7.15. And you'll see that the discount rate does have quite an impact on the liability. You'll see in the footnotes that if there's a 1% decrease or increase, it does have quite an impact on your liability. And lastly, typically, as part of this meeting, we would be talking about the town single audit. What that is that any municipality that spends over $750,000, it's changing to $1 million. But at this point in time, $750,000 in federal funds has to receive a special portion of the audit called the single audit, in which we do some compliance procedures. We have performed a majority of that work. However, during the time that we were performing the town's audit, the federal government issues what we call a compliance supplement, which we as audit firms use as a guideline for our audits. At the time that we were doing the town's audit, that compliance supplement had not been issued, so we were unable to complete our work. Subsequent to performing the town's audit, that supplement has now been issued, so that'll be something that we'll be doing in calendar 2026, is wrapping up that portion of the audit and issuing that particular report. And the programs that we've been auditing and we'll finish off our audit is the ARPA grant and also your child nutrition cluster, i.e. school lunch. So that's really, from my perspective, I feel like that's sort of the key highlights of the town's audit. So I'm happy to open it up for any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Matthew. Pat?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. The first one maybe is just for Paul. We're talking about the ARPA funds again, which we haven't talked about in quite a while. Now, they have to be spent by the end of next year, is that right?
Yeah, December 31st, 26, yeah.
Okay, can we get an update on,
Sure.
maybe sometime in the next couple of months, just, what the status is, because we haven't heard much about it lately. And the other thing, it's maybe a question for, I don't know, Matthew, if it's you or the finance team, but on page 34 of your report, at the bottom, it talks about custodial credit risk, and it notes the town does not have a policy for custodial risk of investments. Should we have one? Would it benefit us to have one?
It certainly it can't hurt. And when we say that there's no policy, what that means is there's no formal written policy per se specific to that particular topic. But the town certainly does have a lot of policies and procedures related to that. So it certainly can't hurt to come up with a formal written policy related to that. But I do want to point out that it doesn't mean that the town's is dismissive of that particular risk. It's very common actually that a lot of municipalities do not have written policies associated with that.
We're constrained by the Commonwealth law on investments. So I think that's the reason. I think that's the reason why the town has never adopted a formal policy. Is we're governed by state law in terms of the risky assets or lack thereof that the town can invest in.
That is true, and I think that you'll see that probably 90 to 95% of municipal financial statements have that same language, where there's not a formal policy associated with that risk. But it doesn't mean that the town's dismissive of it. It's just that there's no formal written policy.
Okay, because I know we do have a lengthy finance policy in our policies, and I know it seems to cover almost everything else you can think of. So I just, but if we're under other laws and whatever, and it's not needed, then that's fine. But
Yeah.
And I'll also throw out there that the town could easily come up with a written policy and could put that in writing
Yep.
and put in some of the constraints that the town manager just mentioned. That could be put in writing. So that'd be fairly straightforward and easy to do. But again, I just want to point out for frame of reference that it's very common that a lot of municipalities don't have the formal written policies.
okay, all right, thank you. That's all I had.
Jeff? Aaron?
Yeah, just one, thank you, Matt, just one quick clarification, way back on slide 5, you, under the $34 million net position, we have a negative $155 million as a result of the pension OPEB. And I thought I heard you say that's the unfunded portion?
Correct.
Did I hear that correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And so you have assets set aside, for example, for your OPEB liability, but it's just not enough to cover what the liability is. Same thing with the Middlesex retirement system. They obviously have assets set aside for the pension liability, but just not enough to cover the full liability.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on that, thank you.
Yes.
Good, Pat.
Okay, and I have nothing further. Matthew, thank you. We appreciate it. And the next item this evening is from Parker Elmore from Odyssey Advisors on the Town of Chelmsford other post-employment benefits plan actuarial valuation as of July 1st, 2023, and a measurement date of June 30, 2025.
Good
Well,
evening.
thank you for having me out. Yeah, you guys, I think, have the presentation. If not, I can put it up if you want.
No, we got
But yeah, so if you want to bounce next slide. So yeah, we've been, why do you need an OPEB report in the first place? Basically, accrual accounting, the stuff that Matt just talked about, accrual accounting versus pay-as-you-go. This stuff started in GASB 43 and 45 back in 2004. GASB 74 and 75 came out in 2016. Just really to create a way in which we can compare town versus town, cities, school district. Everybody's looking at the same kind of numbers. So that's the reason why this exists. It's not, we understand accrual accounting, which Matt just went through. There's no real point in belaboring the point, so we can go on to the next slide. So, the question is, basically, what happened over the year? So your total OPEB liability of 101 million to 111 million, and the assets went from 25 and change to 30 million and change. So your unfunded liability went from 75 million to 81 million. So up about $6 million. Now, the reality is, as Matt talked about, that's because interest rates went down. Now, your discount rate is really, in your guys' case, is really based on the expected future rate of return on your plan assets. And what people, I think, have a tough time grasping at times is they say, hey, the market's done really well. Why isn't this number going up? To which I would tell you is the market does really well, that rate will come down. Because if you have really good years in the market, as a general rule, that means there's less available to be earned in the future. Now, these are not, this is not just me making up my own decision on this. This is a matter, we use survey data each year from about 30 to 35 different investment advisors around the US. And we can basically average out their expected future asset returns over the next 20 to 30 years by asset class. So what is long-term growth going to do, short-term? Large cap growth, small cap growth, value, bonds, fixed income, international, emerging markets, et cetera. And then we apply that to your portfolio. So again, their forecast this year has come down based on what they expect future returns to be. Obviously, no one knows what the future returns will be, but that is currently what the marketplace is expecting going forward. So if you want to bounce to the next slide. This is really an income statement type thing, not terribly meaningful. The service cost is really the one thing I'd probably share with you on the slide, which that's the value of benefits being earned during the year by your active employees. Very similar to what you see on the pension side. So in your case, that's about $2,500 per employee per year they're earning in terms of benefits. So an example I always give is somebody say making $50,000 a year, they're also earning $2,500 a year in the form of deferred compensation payable in medical benefits in retirement. So that's the easiest way I can think of it in terms of what it's worth. So if you put that $2,500 a year away per employee per year, by the time they got to retirement, you would have enough money to pay their benefits in retirement. Now, the realities you saw before, you guys are about $80 million underfunded. That's because in the past, nobody set money aside. So the town back in 1980 and 1960 and 1990, nobody was setting money aside. So unfortunately what happened is, 15, 16 years ago, you guys looked at it and said, oh my God, we have this huge liability, what do we do? Well, that's great, and you guys have done far better than most. You guys right now are about 27% funded, which puts you, sad as this is to say, in really the top quarter of towns in Massachusetts in terms of where you sit, in terms of your funded status. So only in this context can you be 27% funded and be considered doing very, very well. But this is the world we live in. So you guys have done a very good job of addressing the issue, but as was mentioned earlier, you guys also have a very unfunded pension plan. So under state law, you guys are obligated to fund the pension plan. That's not a choice issue. That's you get an appropriation and you will pay it. On the OPEB side, it is a choice for everything above the pay-as-you-go cost, but you guys have been making responsible decisions to fund this thing each and every year, which is why your guys' liabilities, is compared to where they would otherwise be, are much better. You guys have done a good job managing both the liability side as well as the asset side. So if you want to go to the next slide. Now this is what we call the interim year, or the in-between year, the roll forward year, a lot of different things. What that means, as it was said before, last year we did a full valuation, which is we get a whole new census file, we look at all your medical plans, we look at all the people, all the retirees, and we figure out what happened over the 2-year period. This year, what we're really looking at is your assets and your interest rates. So in your guys' case, interest rates went down, therefore liabilities go up by $6 million. The thing I always try and get across to people is assumptions are nice, but they're not really reflective of reality. And what I mean by that is, if I change your interest rate to 10%, your liabilities go way down. If I change your interest rate to 3%, your liabilities go way up. The cost of the plan is the benefits you pay out over time. That's the real cost of the plan. So nothing changed, even though your liability went up by $6 million, nothing changed. It's still the exact same people, the same plans, the same payments. So I wouldn't lose any sleep over the fact that interest rates went down. So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk about what are all these magical actuarial assumptions that actuaries use. The discount rate we spoke about, but there's also termination rates. What's the probability somebody you hire today is still here a year from now, 2, 3, 4? What's the probability to make it all the way to retirement age? Assuming they make it all the way to retirement age, what's the probability they retire at 55, 56, 57, and so on? Okay, they elect to retire. What's the probability they elect to take coverage for themselves and a spouse? And then once you do all that, what are healthcare costs going to be in the year 2100, 2125, and so on? Because we're projecting numbers out here for 100 years. Somebody you hire today at age 18, we are projecting them until they hit 120. That's when we end the model. So we're projecting medical care costs now for 100 years. The one thing I can assure you is I do not know what medical care costs are going to be in the year 2078. We make our best forecast as of today, but assuredly, anybody who tells you what they know what medical care costs are going to be 50 years from now, I would not buy into that. So on the next slide, you guys offer to your retirees, you offer medical coverage, you also offer $1,000 of group term life insurance. The medical is 99.5% of the liability, so that's where the money is. Your guys' plans are slightly cheaper than the average, I would say, on the active plan, and you're modestly more expensive than average on the Medicare supplement plan. So you guys are right, almost dead on where the averages are. So there's really nothing, I mean, you're not giving away the store, nor you're being cheap. Your plans are pretty much right on the numbers, so I don't think anybody should really be complaining about that in either direction. So the how do I stack up category, like I said, you guys are at about 27% funded. You guys can see the 25th percentile under the town column is 25.1%. So you're a little above the 75th percentile. You're not quite at the 80th percentile. So that means you are better than 75% of your peers, but you're not better than 80% of your peers. So you're in the, call it the 77th percentile. So again, you're doing very, very well. As you can tell, cities don't fund very much. So you're doing better than cities, certainly. And you're doing better than school districts, which makes sense because school districts have to get their money from towns and cities. If they're not funding, surely the school district is also not going to get funding. And the next slide, I don't know who you guys compare yourselves to. We try and come up with people who are either geographically similar or demographically similar. So we came up with a couple of towns that, for comparison purposes. and you guys are 27% funded. Lincoln's about 50% funded, so they're doing very well. But the statewide average is about 15% funded, so you're doing far better than the average. And your per covered retiree cost, about $4,800 a year, is materially better than the state average, about $6,000. So again, as I said, your retiree plans are a little bit better than average. So you guys have done a very nice job of managing your liability, which again, is part of why you're 27% funded and part of the reason why you're doing better than 75% of your peers. And I'm going to go to the next slide. This just breaks up that $2,500 service cost per person by function. You know, either the smaller functions doesn't mean much, it just tells me they have younger employees. The one I would point you to generally is the public safety, and I say it for this reason. Public safety employees generally work shorter careers and retire earlier. So therefore that means their liability is going to be higher when they retire because they get the benefit for more years. And they're also accruing the liability over a shorter period of time because they have a shorter working career. So there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It just means their liability has to be amortized over a shorter period. Very similar to what you see on the pension system. So again, nothing surprising about that, but some people find that interesting. And then the next slide is what's going to happen in the future. When do we finally get fully funded? When do we make this whole thing go away? As of right now, you guys get the full funding in about 2047. You'll see the column there, the net OPEB liability column number 3. So you guys get the fully in 2044, you're still about 38 million underfunded. And in 2049, you're about 4 million overfunded. So you start to really make some significant gains in those years. Now, the one thing I try and share with people is to look at the far right-hand side. We put things in present value terms. Because when you look at the left-hand side, you see your liability from 111 million to 404 million. And your first inclination is to throw up your hands and say, why even try? The numbers just get to be insane. Why even look at it? But in today's dollars, you see go from 111 million, it dips up, down to about 110, then back up to 114. In 40 years now, it's only 123. So it's going up 10% in today's dollars over a 40-year period. So basically irrelevant. Now the claim cost numbers, the employer share of costs, that's going to go from 4.7 million up to about 6 million over the 40 years. So it's going up by about 25% over 40 years, which is not great, but it's also minor incremental changes can solve that problem. But beyond that, you're also going to be fully funded by that point. So at that point in time, you'll see up in column 6, at that point in time, you're taking money out of the trust rather than putting money into the trust. So that's going to help cover your costs each year. So that's really the point. When you get out to those years, you're taking money out, not putting money in. So again, that's really what I've got. The next slide just says questions. So questions, comments, concerns, things I can help with. I know there's a lot of stuff there. Try and keep it as high level and useful as possible, but I recognize there's a lot of complicated stuff. So anything you have, just let me know.
Thank you, Parker. Pat?
I'm very welcome.
No, there's a lot of information, but as you mentioned, there's a lot of unknowns. We won't know until it happens. So.
That is certain.
Well, I think from being a town meeting rep from years ago, we've been pretty much responsible on this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's showing, it's paying off now, which is great.
It also helps the town's bond rating too, by the
Correct.
creditors. And that's why we've got to stay in this course, and we will. The other
That
thing
is correct. We just published a piece on bond ratings recently, and the thing is, S&P has increased debt as a portion of their rating. So the fact that you guys are doing a good job on this is actually helping you guys compared to some of your peers who are not doing this. So, the fact that you guys are managing your debt, pension, OPEB, and long-term debt is a great thing for your bond ratings.
which saves the town money because you're getting better interest rates. And the other thing we'll note, and Parker mentioned this comment, is at the end of this month will be the cutoff for the next valuation for both OPEB and for the pension system. So basically, over the next several months, these, the reports and everything will be compiled and everything, and so you'll get a key report a year from now that'll be updated, because they do that in 2-year increments.
Yep.
Anything else? Aaron?
Yeah, the one question I had, the first question I had was on when is it fully funded, and we got to that at the end there. So I'm good there, but can you point out again on that chart again, where is our it's an eye chart for me there and on the slide too, where what our funding values are, right? And I'm not sure if it says it there, but what we need to fund every year to kind of get there?
Well, yeah, you guys are funding right now, you guys were $2 million this year, you're going down to 1.59 for the next few years, and then you're supposed to, by 2034, you're gonna kick it back up. It starts at around 5 years, it starts going back up slightly by a few percent a year. And then, so yeah, you guys are, I would say taking a pause, that sounds like you're not doing anything. You're just stopping the rate of increase for a few years, then you're gonna pick it back up again in 2029.
Okay, I can see that now. All right,
Yeah.
column 6. That's all I had, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I am all set at this point. I agree with Pat. See what the future holds.
And Mr. Chairman, before we close it, I just want to thank Parker, thank Matt for their reports, but I also want to thank John Souza and Darlene Lucy, our town accountant. This town is so well served by their financial stewardship in this community and for almost 2 decades. And that's what brings you these outstanding reports that you're receiving this evening. And I just, don't want to let the night go without, thanking them formally for their work.
And I would,
100%. Without them, this stuff doesn't happen. I mean, that's, all the data we get comes from them, so it's not a one person or one company operation by any means.
I would echo the town manager's sentiments about the talent and capability of our financial team, but I also would include our town manager in that grouping as well. So thank you, Paul, thank you, John, and thank you, Darlene. Much appreciated. Okay.
You too.
John, we've come a long way since cutting lawns at the cemetery at 15, huh?
All right, Parker, thank you
Parker.
very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Happy
folks.
holidays to you.
You too. Thank you.
They can both defer taking any of that pension stuff too.
Okay, thanks, everybody. The next item this evening is the sign conservation restriction for 255 Princeton Street. I'll turn that one over to the town manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I gotta get back to this now. I just got distracted because they're shutting down the Zoom for the night. Thank you, Christina. Basically, what you have before you this evening pertains to the development at 255 Princeton Street, the former UMass Lowell West Campus, known as Alexon, the luxury apartments that are constructed there. Part of the planning board approval for that project required the issuance and entering into a conservation restrictive covenant that preserves that open conservation land in the front of the property. So again, as the property is now moving towards final completion, the property owner and the Conservation Commission have, with the assistance of our town council and obviously their legal counsel, have agreed on the restriction that covers the 6.75 acre portion of the property. And under state law, not only does the Conservation Commission have to approve this on behalf of the town, but you as the appointing authority select board have to also vote to accept this this restriction. So what the action this evening is for you to vote to accept the covenant as presented.
Thank you, Paul. Questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
Under pre-existing public rights, are there any?
No.
Okay, so the public is not allowed on that, or?
No, it's private property. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But it's protected as permanent conservation land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the residents there? Will they be able to?
Oh, yeah, that's
they can
between
use
them
it.
and their
Okay.
and their association that's, the owner of the real estate. But no, it's not public property.
Okay.
Private.
Any other comments, discussion? I would entertain a motion to approve the
Okay.
sign conservation restriction.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the conservation restriction covenant for Alexon Chelmsford at 255 Princeton Street as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
Next item is town manager reports.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple brief reports this evening. First, and they basically have to do with grant awards to the town. The first one is from the Massachusetts Office of Disabilities. The town has received a $65,000 grant award under the municipal ADA improvement grant Again, this grant was submitted by our Public Works Director, Christine Clancy, and this will fund the improvements of making Hart Pond Beach accessible, fully accessible. And again, that work should take place in the upcoming construction season. So that's good news to report to the board. And then the other one is a Meyer Risk Management $10,000 grant award, and that provides for public works safety equipment, as was listed in your packet. So again, we're, as you know, we bring these to you to note that we're not only looking, for funding opportunities within the town, but also grant opportunities that arise that can, again, enhance either, in this case, accessibility, or in other cases, safety in the case of the public works operations for people operating chainsaws and flood protection efforts and so forth, barriers. And then the next in my report is, I want to report to the board formally, but also let the public know, because we occasionally get questions about, well, what's going on with the replacement of the boat launch at Southwell? And as I place on the agenda, and as you see on the screen, the Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game has the project out to bid. Bids are going to be received by January 13th for the reconstruction work. And the most notable thing about this notice is the work has to be completed by December 15th, 2026. And so finally, after years of inactivity and obviously environmental permitting from both the Corps of Engineers and state and so forth, this project is out to bid. We expect, again, a bid award after the first of the year. And then once the conditions in the river allow, which will probably be after the spring high water season, the boat ramp will be replaced and, again, will be completed by the end of calendar year 2026.
So Paul, who actually manages that work?
That's done by the state.
Yeah.
And Representative Elliott was very instrumental in trying to help us to push the state to move this project along, because we know the state has financial limitations as well. But we are only the property owner, and we're responsible for maintenance once it's completed, but we don't have a role in the actual construction of the project.
And it is scheduled to complete by the end of
Yeah.
26.
So a year from now, we should have an open boat launch, which would be great, because it has been tough on our side of the river to launch. And then last thing under my.
I just
Go
have
ahead.
one
Sure, of
question about
course.
that.
Yep.
So they award the contract?
Yep, you can see yes, they will. It's expected to be about $600,000.
And do we have any input on that? Or
No,
will we?
no.
Okay, we don't even know who the bidders are?
Well, they'll tell us, it'll be public.
Right,
It's a
once
public
it's
bid.
awarded.
Yeah, once it's awarded, but no,
Okay.
we don't have a say or anything
Okay.
in this process.
Okay.
Is it, and do these things, over the last 20 years, have they always taken this long, or is this a relatively new phenomenon?
And part of it is, it's not the Rourke Bridge, it's not 40 years, but it is lengthy, and part of it was the environmental permitting, because you're dealing with a navigable waterway that goes into the ocean. So again, it's not only the state environmental reviews, you had to get the Army Corps of Engineers and get onto their schedule and their reviews for a simple project, which the state chose to go with an on-site construction. We often wonder, why not just drop a ramp,
Right.
A concrete ramp? But again, it's out of our call. And then, like everything else, we've seen this with the fire station and other projects. They start digging into the file and say, oh, well, there's a discrepancy. Because if you look at the original plans that were on file, the ramp isn't actually where it was shown to be on the original plans. It was actually supposed to go more, towards the Lowell side as opposed to the New Hampshire side in terms of facing. That all got straightened out. They approved the design plans and, again, got the biggest challenge was environmental permitting.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one in town that's
Oh, yeah.
watching the two bridge replacement projects,
Yes.
which thankfully we got those,
Yeah.
but it
Most
just
days you
seems
don't
like
see
things
anything
are
happening.
Yeah, and it seems like things are taking longer and longer and longer, and I was just looking for some historical reference, but I appreciate that.
And then the last thing I have is the monthly double pole report with Verizon and National Grid. Good news is our double poles are down to now 50, so we lost 4 double poles in the last month, and that 7 were removed and 3 were added. But I think the encouraging thing is, of those 50, 22 of them are in the hands of Verizon, which is the last to act. So again, and I know I say this repeatedly, the good news is you can see National Grid has nothing on their plate, and they're first to act. So you can see we're pushing them through, but, the town, obviously, we're on top of our stuff, but, we're always on the case with Comcast and Verizon to move these along, and so I'm hoping to come back to you. Obviously, the winter conditions can be tricky, because if it gets too bad out there, they won't do anything. If it's nice like it's been now, they can get out there because they're not doing too much other activity. So I just wanted the board to know we're keeping on this and, again, trying to push this number down. As legislation moves to the legislature, we hope, on double pole enforcement, which really will solve this problem, because, we tend to focus on some of the longer term ones, and it really is discouraging when you start seeing a prior year number, on a double pole that, says 24 or 23, or in some cases 22. So that's where we're at, yes. Pat?
So, I don't know, some of these, the addresses confuse me, like, there's 4 poles here that are listed at 29 Gorham Street. I mean, how does that happen?
That has to do with the bridge project. That's
Okay,
what that is.
okay, that makes sense.
That's what's
Okay.
going on there.
Okay, but there is another one. On the 4th one down, it says 318 Acton Road. And then if you go about 2/3 of the way down, there's another one that says 318 Acton Road. I know where that is because it's right near where I live, and there's only one.
Okay, and then that could just be a data entry error. That's, we're relying on their system, so.
Okay.
That's the other thing we look at, is we also look at, is what's on this list accurate? And then are there double poles that aren't on the list? And that's why we sent out that public request,
Right.
for double poles. And we'll do that again once we get out of the winter, holiday period
Okay.
as well.
All right, thanks.
Okay, that concludes my report for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Paul. All right, our next item this evening is town manager appointments.
Yeah,
And we have one appointment to the Board of Assessors.
Yeah, Gabriel Francisco has stepped forward to fill the vacancy on the Board of Assessors. As you can see, he has just obtained his law degree, and he's expressed interest in this position. I did have him speak to Sam Chase, the chair of the board, to make sure that he understands the requirements of the position and the certification, and he's ready to go. So I'd seek your confirmation of that this evening, and that would provide us with a full 3-member board of assessors. And this term would expire on June 30th, 2027. So basically, he'll have a year and a half to see if he likes it.
Excellent, excellent. Good. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the town manager's appointment of Gabriel Francisco to the Board of Assessors as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Paul already answered my question. As he spoke with Sam and all. Okay.
Okay, excellent. We'll seeing no further discussion, we'll, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. And the next item this evening is approval of meeting minutes. We have meeting minutes from December 1st, 2025 to approve. We have meeting minutes from the Select Board, School Committee, and Town Moderator from December 8th, 2025. We have Tri-Board meeting minutes from December 8th, 2025. And we'll stop there at this point. And do we have any questions, comments, or anything of the like?
On the meeting with the school committee and the town moderator, there's just a spelling error that I didn't catch when I was reviewing them. In the body of the minutes, it says Neshoba Valley Technical, and Valley is spelled incorrectly. It only has one L in and there should be 2, obviously.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, seeing nothing further, I will entertain a motion to approve those 3 sets of meeting minutes.
Okay, except on the first one, the tri-board one, I mean, the one with the town moderator, were you present for that one? I didn't think you.
On Zoom.
But did you come on during that part or the second part of the actual, did you vote, I guess is the question?
I only voted to adjourn.
Okay, then, okay, because I noted that you were not there for the first one when we appointed the person to the Neshoba Valley.
Okay.
So,
We can do them separately.
yeah.
Yeah,
probably
we'll do them
should.
separately. Okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 1st, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the joint meeting minutes for the Select Board School Committee and Town Moderator meeting of December 8th, 2025, as amended.
Okay. I have a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I
Seeing
appreciate you
none?
pointing that out, Pat, because I was reading it. I was confused. I'm like, I was there, but I wasn't there, but I was there.
Yeah, that was that 2-minute meeting.
Yep. So seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and I'll make a motion to approve the the minutes from the joint meeting of the Select Board School Committee and Finance Committee from December 8th, 2025, as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Also regarding meeting minutes, I'll announce that there's an announcement of determination of releasability of executive session meeting minutes. Minutes for release are from August 18th, 2025, and minutes not for release are from July 1st, 2025. And with that, we'll go to Select Board Member Liaison Reports and Referral, and Aaron, we'll start with you tonight.
Good, thank you. I'm going to wing the planning board one a little bit, because I left the notes at home, but again, their agendas continue to be pretty packed, and they're now getting ready for, they're going to have several warrants for Springtown meeting, which they had kind of prepared us for. So if you're following along, you definitely should follow along those meetings where you can. So the Chelmsford Mall property, as everybody probably knows by now, they withdrew their request for doing anything with those 2 pad spots up above the drive-throughs or restaurants or anything like that. Both the fire stations, I was there, both of the fire stations got the approval to go ahead, and they continue to hold meetings on the 133 Princeton Street, which is the new liquor store that's being built next to Princeton Station. So at some point, I believe they're coming back to review their liquor license with us. And then ProGeneration Energy at 152 Sedman Street is looking to put solar panels on top of that old Chelmsford landfill. So that continued to move along. I don't remember if they voted on that one yet or not. And then I was at the last Board of Health meeting, and there was some citizens' concerns regarding the old Best Westerns behind the Moonstones over there. And the discussion, it was pretty lengthy. Town council was on with them as well for the Board of Health. And there's the potential that that could end up on our agenda too. So that was recorded. So you'll be able to get that meeting if you want to follow up on that and just be a little bit more educated if the person does come to us. Other than that, I don't have any other liaison reports other than to wish everybody a happy holidays.
Thank you, Aaron. Jeff?
I reached out to all my committees. They're all on holiday break right now, so I really don't have a lot to report. But to follow up what Aaron said, I've thoroughly enjoyed this year working with all of you, and it's been an honor and a privilege. I look forward to us having an excellent 2026 together. Merry Christmas to all of you. And be safe, please.
Okay, yeah.
I do not have anything, so I'll just echo what Aaron and Jeff had said. Happy holidays to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Pat. I just have a couple of things. So the school building committee met last Thursday evening, and last Wednesday evening, there was the final visioning session that was well attended again, so very happy to see that all 3 visioning sessions were well-attended. I will say that it was noted that there was somewhat of a poll taken at the visioning session as to the grade configurations under consideration, and the overwhelming majority voted for the grade 4 through 6 configuration for our new Parker Middle School, which was very surprising. I thought it might have been a little bit more split than that, but I think everybody seems to be well on the same page there. So we met, and we're moving ahead, and there's been a lot of work being done on the evaluations of existing conditions for the existing Parker Middle School, and I'll just say quickly that Mass School Building Authority asks us or tells us that we are to look at 10 options.
14.
14 options. We were at 10, we're up to
We're at 10,
14 now.
at the end.
Many of them we know that will never fly, but this is what they require us to go through. So one of the things that we look at is just existing conditions of an existing Parker school and what it would take to get that up to code. And then we look at additions and renovations to that building, as well as even taking a look at McCarthy School. So we're looking at various locations for new buildings, if that's the decision, and that could be on the same Parker Middle School site. It could be over on the Graniteville Fields, or it could be directly in back of McCarthy Middle School. Again, very tight situation over there, but it's something that the state wants us to look at, so we'll look at that. The educational program update is being finalized and will be reviewed by the school committee coming soon. So the next meeting will be January 15th. We'll have some preliminary budgets for the various options at that point, and then the committee will receive a matrix from the OPM, the Owner's Project Manager, and we will start to kind of give our overview and ideas of how we think we should proceed with the various options. And then we would go ahead and move into more conceptual design options and so on. So we will have more visioning sessions that will come starting after the first of the year to keep getting public input. But things are moving along very well at this point. And so basically what we're doing now is just finalizing the preliminary design phase, which is really just trying to get to the point of, okay, making the decision and getting the state to agree with us that this is the grade configuration that we want to do based on the educational program, along with what makes sense financially and so on for the town. So we're moving ahead very quickly on all that, and start getting. It'll be a lot more exciting after the first of the year as we start to look at various options and conceptual designs. So that's everything on the school building. Just want to update everybody on the capital planning stuff. I know it's been mentioned here, but I'll just say quickly, the Capital Planning Committee has finished their work. The committee reviewed 30 projects totaling just over $9.69 million. 20 projects were recommended for funding in FY27 and 10 projects were deferred. The committee voted to recommend the total amount financed to not exceed $6,428,890. After deducting $149,159 of recaptured funds, the net amount to be financed through the municipal bonds is $6,279,731. And thanks to all the members of the school committee, finance committee, board of library trustees, et cetera, for all their time volunteering to assist with that budget. And hopefully things get better in the future and we can afford to do more. So thank you to everybody that worked on that. And then finally, I'll just, quick word, the designers on the 2 fire stations in town have been given the authorization to move ahead into the construction design phase. They had preliminary budget estimates came in, they reconciled those. It looks like they're about $350,000 below the control budget. which is, the control budget is $20,500,000. So they've decided not to do any value engineering or anything at this point, although we keep hearing about soil conditions and things like that. So hopefully their good work will move on and be able to get this thing on time and on budget. So that's coming along as well. And other than that, I will echo what everybody else has said. Happy holidays to everybody. It's been a pleasure working with everybody this year. And I guess happy holidays to the town, and we'll see everybody next year. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Happy holidays and Happy New Year.